So today I'm going to have a guest, Tonya, on the podcast, and we're going to be chatting about menopause. And we're going to shed some light on different lifestyle factors that can really affect menopause. We're going to be talking about the importance of connection, healthy lifestyle habits, and just how things affect our body differently than they used to. And I just want to encourage you that if you feel like you're struggling, if you feel like you're stuck in your health, to just reach out and set up a free call so that we can chat and go through some of these difficulties, go through your goals. Maybe we can start to figure out what some of those missing pieces are, because a lot of times little shifts can start to make a big difference. There will be a link down below where you can set up a free call. All right, so let's dive in this today.
Hi friends, and welcome to the Healthy Beyond 40 show. I'm Michelle, mama of 4 and military wife, and I'm passionate about helping women get healthy from the inside out so they can feel better and live their best life. Do you feel like you're struggling to lose weight and get in shape? If you're ready to develop healthier habits, exercise consistently, and lose weight sustainably, then you're in the right place. I combine my expertise from my doctorate in physical therapy to my experience as a health coach, personal trainer, and yoga teacher to bring you actionable steps for a healthy lifestyle. No magic pill here, so lace up those shoes and get moving. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to have Tonya on the podcast today. We are going to be talking about menopause and perimenopause and how to get through that well. So, Tonya, please introduce yourself, and tell us a little bit about what you do.
Hi, well, thank you for having me on the show, Michelle. Pleasure to be here. So I've worked in really health, wellness, fitness my whole life, pretty much. I mean, I started out as a high school health sciences teacher. So I've always been in nutrition, fitness, wellness. And as I got older and went out and started my own company and stuff, as I grew, my clientele changed, and the things that I was doing, whether, young, then having babies, and then raising a family, and now this other part of life. So going into the late 40s, early 50s, and all of a sudden life starts to change again. So my focus has shifted to perimenopause and menopause. That was, as my clients aged with me, so their needs changed. And that's sort of how I, became much more focused on working with women that are going through this transition.
Yeah, I love that. So when you're talking to clients and with other people, what are some common problems that you see, especially as women go through that perimenopause part? So that is the part before menopause, which can be anywhere from a couple to 10 years. What are some common problems that you see?
Well, it can be different. Clearly each client is very specific, and they're all different. But what's really interesting going into the perimenopause is at that time when I'm working with a client, I get a pretty good idea who has really great body awareness and who maybe doesn't have the same level of awareness. And that is so key, because when somebody comes to talk to me like, these things are what's going on? I can't sleep well anymore, or my cycle's all over the place. I can't seem to keep weight off as easily. Sort of two types of clients that come in the door. And there's the one that's like, I don't know what is going on, and I feel like I'm losing my mind, and I want to burn all the clothes in my closet. I just want to run away and hide. And then there's the other client that comes in and goes, this is what I've been doing. This is what I'm still doing, but I'm noticing some changes. So something's going on. And what that does is it just sort of lets me know where we're starting with a client. So the ones that have the awareness, it's a little easier conversation, because we start out with, okay, so this is what you've been doing. What isn't working? What are the results you're getting now that you're not really not really happy about? And we can kind of go from there, okay, so maybe, before you used to be able to have that glass of wine in the evening, but it seems now that your sleep is really disrupted. So maybe if we change that out for something else, or instead of it, being 3 or 4 nights a week, maybe you pick one night a week, maybe Friday night's wine night. When somebody comes in and they haven't really had that kind of awareness, because all their awareness has been family, kids, the job, all the other stuff, it takes a little more digging.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think sometimes as we get older too, Like just with eating, for example, we may not even recognize that we're eating more than what we did 10 years ago because maybe it's slowly creeping up, or maybe we're moving less, but we're eating the same and we're not recognizing that. And I also think sort of that group that you said that doesn't have body awareness, it sounded like maybe some of those people have more anxiety, definitely like less awareness of how they have changed over the course of 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
And so you brought this up of asking yourself, what's not working? So you gave the example of the wine affecting sleep. Can you think of any other examples where things may not work anymore for women as they get older, or things that pop up? Because it can be frustrating. So I just would love to share some more, because I think the more we know we're not alone, and
Right.
that things do change, our body does change, and maybe we're not able to do the same things that we used to, and that's okay. So are there any more examples of like commonalities you find of things stop working?
Yeah. When we hit perimenopause, before menopause, and I really try to give women a mind shift on it. Perimenopause, I say, look at it as a gift. This isn't full blown menopause, but it's your body saying, hey, things are changing. Here's something that you might want to pay attention to, because now all of a sudden there's some mild sleep disturbances. All of a sudden you seem to gain weight a lot more easily, and it's a lot more difficult to lose it, if at all. Things like very mild, I won't even call them hot flashes, but like little tiny short, I'm really warm right now. Like, where's that coming from? And these are little things women will tell me. I'll be like, okay, these are things to pay attention to, because that's your body saying, hey, I'm changing. So you can either come along with me, we can do this together and be really good friends, or you can fight me on it, but it's not going to be that much fun for you. And not that I'm not trying to say menopause is great and fun. Some women really struggle with their menopause, and for various reasons. There's like all kinds of reasons, medications, treatments, just all kinds of stuff. But when your body is showing you that there are small, slight changes, it's in your best interest to pay attention, because there's things now that you can do to help yourself navigate menopause better. So I always say you can go through menopause like this, or you can go through it like this. How do you want to do it, right? So definitely alcohol is definitely a factor, because there's a lot of studies that have shown us that consuming large amounts of red wine in the evening can definitely just exacerbate your already disrupted sleep patterns as you're going through perimenopause and menopause. So if you are a wine drinker, this is good information, because we're not saying you can never have wine again. Because if you try to take wine away from a woman who likes it, you're going to have a fight on your hands. She's going to fight you tooth and nail for that. But it's worth a conversation going, okay, so you like your wine, and in your 20s and 30s, you could drink the wine and still sleep and not a big deal. That's not really the case anymore. So what's the plan? Like, what is the plan? Do you want to sleep? Because sleep's really important. And if we don't get the sleep, our cortisol levels are going up, which that likes to sit right around the middle area. So now the weight gain's an issue. So it's not even that one thing results in one thing. This all piggybacks and stacks. And I think as women that are approaching that, you really need to be aware of that. It isn't just one single thing that you eat or do or don't do is going to create one unpleasant circumstance or consequence. That's going to be part of a myriad of many things that can be stacking and making your life very not feeling as good as you'd like to. So we know that alcohol can definitely exacerbate sleep issues. Caffeine can be another thing. Caffeine, you can read there are thousands and thousands of studies and clinical trials and stuff done on caffeine. We know that caffeine can increase cortisol levels. We know it can make you very twitchy and make you're distracted. I know for myself, I had a very bad coffee habit when I was in university, when I was younger. And it was a tool to stay awake. And now even if I have a cup of coffee in the morning, it doesn't feel good. I don't enjoy it. Now, once or twice a week in the middle of the afternoon at like 2:00, I might be like, I really want a cup of coffee, and I can have that cup of coffee. I sit down, I enjoy it. I read a little bit of my book, and I'm fine. And even foods, like you might start to find that some foods just don't agree with you. Digestion can become an issue, and paying better attention to your nutrition is really something that I think a lot of women in menopause I don't want to say take for granted, but maybe not embrace it as much as I'd like them to, because some of the simple changes with nutrition can be a big game changer in your overall menopause journey, because it's a journey. It's not just something that lasts a month or a couple weeks. This is a process of transition that your body goes through over what can be and feel like a pretty long period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And within that nutrition realm, I think sugar becomes a big one for people. Like they used to be able to eat more sugar and now
Yes.
they're more affected by it or they'll crave more of it. And you can definitely get that insulin resistance starting in that perimenopause, menopause, where
Yeah.
you really want to manage that better. And I love how you brought perimenopause up as a gift. Because again, it starts with our mindset. How are we going to think about something? Because if we're completely dreading menopause and perimenopause, that's going to amplify that. Can we think of it as a gift to, like you said, pay attention to our body? When we're in menopause and our estrogen has dropped, women are more likely to have heart problems or heart attack. So, can we take those perimenopause signs as a cue to, hey, I need to take better care of my health. I need to eat better. I need to make sure I'm moving, get exercise in. And then we can approach it from a different standpoint, not a standpoint of dread, but a standpoint of I love myself and my body, and I want to take care of it the best I can. And then, like you said, what are the things that I can do? The can do is what puts you in a powering position. And when it comes to food, exercise, movement, our mindset, you're in control of that. So get the information you need, get the support you need, because there are things you can do. And that lifestyle stuff has such a huge impact. Our conventional medicine doesn't tell us this, but food, water, exercise, movement make a really big difference. And you are 100% in control of that. So thinking, what are you willing to do? What support do you need to get to make those changes?
Oh, absolutely. And with looking at perimenopause as a gift, I also kind of extend that conversation to remind or to sort of plant the seed in women's minds. Like, this is not something I realize that, some women, they kind of go through like a mourning phase. Like, it's kind of like the end of an era sort of thing for them, right? The body changes. We're not in those reproductive years. Kids are grown up. A lot of women, kids are leaving or have left the house. So it's really there's a lot. It's not just hormones and body that's changing. Life is changing for these women, and a lot of things are happening. So they're dealing with a lot of things, not just physically, hormonally, but emotionally and psychologically. There's a lot going on. So the conversations have to incorporate and make room for all of that for women to talk about and sort of, just let it all out. I can't sleep. I don't like this kind of food anymore. I feel like I'm going crazy. My husband doesn't recognize me anymore. Kids are gone. I've got all the big house, all this time, like all of these things that we did, looking after kids, making the meals, keeping the house, taking somebody here, all of those responsibilities that we had for so long, putting our life on hold to manage other people stops. And that it can be really, really difficult for women. And you have to give them time to sort of mourn that. But then I like perimenopause as a gift because it's a heads up, like, okay, pay attention. This is what's coming. I'm giving you a couple years here to make some lifestyle changes, ease into it, doing things differently that are better for you. And then menopause actually gives you the gift of you get to focus on you. You actually get to make yourself a priority. You get to put yourself first if you choose to. But you now have this time in your life to not just only focus on your health, focus on your wellness. What are things that you've always wanted to do that you put off? What are the things did you want to go to pottery? Did you always want to do yoga? When you kind of open that space up in their mind, menopause becomes less of a threat or less of a monster that's attacking your body and more of a, okay, I need to make some changes. It's time for me. And I love seeing that when they get on board with that, when they again relax into the, okay, we can talk about the nutrition. We're going to make some changes. We'll talk about movement. What are some things you like to do to keep you moving? But also, what are things that I want to do that are going to fill me up? I think for women to recognize it. And that mind shift, that positive mind shift goes a long way in getting you through menopause, not ripping your hair out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that idea of really knowing your purpose, whether that's in menopause or before it, and being intentional about that, really thinking what point of your life are you in right now? And being intentional. And you are always important. Your health is always important, no matter what that is. And can you prioritize that? I love how you brought up the emotional and psychological, sort of the stress, emotions, and everything that comes around, because I find so many people like to ignore that part. I
Mm.
grew up where I couldn't really express negative emotions, or if I did, it was like, you're okay, you're okay.
Yeah.
So I've worked really hard the last 10 plus years working through feelings and emotions as they pop up. And as we're talking about nutrition or hormones are changing and things are up and down, we might have more emotions. And do we have the tools? Do we have the support to deal with those emotions, to deal with those thoughts that are going on in our head, to be able to share that with someone and feel safe? Because that's going to drive all of our actions or inactions, is how we are feeling, what we are thinking. And for some people, it seems easier to change something in their diet or to start working out than to start dealing with some anxiety they've been feeling. Because maybe as they're going through perimenopause and menopause, maybe that anxiety is getting worse and they actually need to get help with it.
Right.
Or whatever that feeling is. Can we actually start to face some of these feelings, have good tools to use so that emotionally we can get through these changes better?
Right. I think a woman's greatest asset is her tribe. It really is. I don't know that our mothers and grandmothers had that kind of luxury. I think sort of our society, like it's changed in a really good way that, menopause, I remember as a little kid hearing like the change, like, but it was kind of hush hush. Nobody really talked about it. You kind of knew something was going on, and even as a teenager, I'm like, I was aware of what menopause was, but nobody talked about it. Like nobody talked about it. And now women are opening up and talking about it because women need other women to go, sweetie, you're not crazy. Hey, I felt that too. Here's what I did. Or here, like these conversations that women, when we sit around and have, are so good, not just because we might hear something that's actually, oh, you know what? I haven't tried that. You're using ashwagandha. I never even thought, I'm going to give that a try. There's help, there's suggestions, but there's just a place to talk with other women and just feel like, oh, we are women. Having that connection with other women, having your tribe just to sit with is so important.
And, God created us for connection and to be connected with other people. And when we are and we feel connected and we feel love and we feel accepted, that changes how we take in the world around us. It changes the way we look at ourselves. And I think, especially if you have friends or a tribe, like you were saying, that are kind people, loving, accepting people that you can trust. Not everyone is. When you can start to be vulnerable, other people will start to be vulnerable too. When I was telling one of my friends that I've made here, like I was having a really hard time with one of my kids and sharing some of the stuff, she's like, oh, wow, like she was struggling with something similar. And we both felt so much better. But sometimes it is that first step of being vulnerable with someone. And then that really takes the burden off of us when we're able to do that.
Absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head there, because a lot of times like it takes one person to say something. And when that person allows, I'm going to be vulnerable, I'm going to share, what you're really doing is giving everybody else around you permission to share the same thing. Who's your tribe? Who are these women that you surround yourself with? Because if you look back through history, women have always come together in groups, whether it's like, cooking for weddings or preparing for the baby to come and bringing food to the house. Like women, this is what we do. And menopause is no different, because we're all navigating this new thing. There is a lot of help out there. I think as far as your tribe is incredibly important, but also building your team. And that could be whether you want to work with a nutritionist, maybe you're going to hire a trainer, maybe you want to work with a naturopath. You really have to be an advocate. And if you're not feeling your best, that's not okay. So you need to find the people that are not only going to listen to you and work with you, but that are going to listen to and work with the other people as you build your team. That's very, very key.
Yeah, I love that. Also, like building your health team, finding the doctors, the coaches, the trainers, a counselor, a therapist, or whatever it is that you need to really support yourself.
Yeah.
And I also just want to encourage people. Obviously, my listeners, I'm military, so we move. But I want to encourage you that if you don't have friends that you have healthy habits with, is one, you can make new friends, because you guys can, looking on Facebook, asking someone in a local community group to go for a walk or play something. You can do that. And also ask existing friends. I often have clients do this. So go ask that friend to go for a walk, and they're like, oh yeah, they were excited. Or like, maybe it was someone they went out drinking with. They asked them to go to a Pilates class. They're like, oh yeah, that would be great. Like, we can start asking our existing friends to do some of these healthier habits and do these things that are going to support our health more. All right. So let's end with giving some top tips. So we talked about really having that connection, building our tribe, building our health team, and give some tips when it comes to nutrition or exercise, maybe some basic general things that help a lot of people get through perimenopause, menopause better.
Yeah. Well, okay, so movement is really our bodies were meant to move, and you want to keep them moving. You want to be that person that when when you have grandchildren, that you can go outside and throw the ball around with them or walk with them. So movement is important. And if you're not somebody that's big in movement or hasn't done a lot of it, a lot of us have jobs nowadays where we're at a computer. So we're doing a lot more sitting as a species than we ever have. So you have to be very intentional about your movement. I always recommend to women, like in the perimenopause and menopause, like if you can, get a walk in the morning, getting that sunlight, hitting your brain. That is really, really important, because a lot of women in perimenopause and menopause are starting to notice sleep disturbances. So light and dark helps with keeping our circadian rhythms set, so we want to do things that are going to help to support that. Strength training. You don't have to have a gym membership or pay a lot of money to do strength training. You can start strength training with your own body weight. Push-ups, body weight squats, water. Not many of us are drinking enough water. And again, that's, the question I get a lot is, well, how much should I drink? So there's like a rule of thumb. Half your body weight in ounces is like a good gold standard. Mm-hmm. But if you're somebody that lives in Arizona or Florida and you get outside, you're going to need more than that, Protein. Ladies, you've got to get your protein in. It's so important to help sustain and build the muscle, which is important to keep our metabolism up, which is going to help with that cortisol belly that sometimes likes to creep up on us during menopause. And fiber. Again, like a lot of women, when they come to me, that their number one thing other than sleep is weight gain. They feel all of a sudden, like they get up one morning, they go to put on their clothes and it's tight, and it wasn't tight the day before. So fiber is important for a couple of things. It's really great for our digestive health, but it also helps if we're eating the right things, eating more whole foods, being very intentional with the kind of foods that we eat, getting that movement and doing some strength training, 3 times a week is a good rule of thumb. That fiber helps with the weight loss. And a lot of people don't understand that. It is very helpful if you're wanting to lose body fat. Make sure you're getting around, I usually say somewhere between, again, depending on your size, somewhere between like the 23 to 28 grams of fiber a day.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are all great tips, all things I talk about. I'm even going to link some podcast episodes in the description that go into some of those topics deeper. But remember, guys, that wherever you are, find your starting point. Think about what it is that you need to most work on right now. Write the other ideas down to come back later. But having that movement, that morning walk, I love that one. Strength training, water, getting enough protein, getting enough fiber, having your community, your connection, building your healthcare team that's going to listen to you and support you. All right. So Tonya, tell everybody where they can find you.
Well, I'm all over social media, but if you're actually interested in working with me or finding out more about that, the easiest and the best place is to go to theeducatedDieter.com. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn. If you just type my name into Google search, I'm going to come up.
All right. Well, perfect. And I'll have those links in the description too. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode today and that you all keep moving.